There's a blue background with faint grid lines that look like the canvas for a technical drawing, like a blueprint. The word access in all caps, white, twice. One access is made of a dotted outline. The other is solid text with arrows around some of the letters, suggesting future edits or movement. Access as artistry, access for organizing. June 28, 2023. Okay. Hello, everyone, and
Hello,
welcome.
Kevin.
Welcome to Access as Artistry, Access for Organizing. This is the kickoff event for a series called Access, offered by Creatives Rebuild New York. Hello to those in this Zoom space right now. And hello to those of the future who are watching this recording later on. Welcome. My name is Kevin Gotkin. I am an artist organizer with CRNY. Let me offer a visual description. Oh, okay. This is Kevin from after the event in editing mode, and I forgot to spotlight myself. So even though I'm giving this description, I'm actually not on the screen yet, but there are two people on the screen right now. One is an ASL interpreter, and the other is our linguistic justice coordinator who is offering real-time Spanish translation. I am a scruffy white person. I'm wearing a neon green beanie hat and headphones and a black t-shirt. And I'm in my home on the traditional territory of the Mohican people, so-called Hudson, New York, which is and has been the site of multiple indigenous movements. So let's access the access for this Access series, where we will be talking about, that's right, access. For the next few minutes, we will settle into this space. And then I will say the word access, just a few hundred more times as I introduce the series. I will also introduce an artist named Jaron Herman, whose work inspired these events. And then we'll turn to you and invite you to share more about what draws you here as we chart the path ahead in 3 more events. So in the chat right now, I am dropping the link to our participation guide. This is where you will find more detailed information about each of the access features we are activating during this session. And now let me introduce to you a team of absolutely iconic, fabulous access workers who are collaborating with me to hold this space for us all. Our ASL interpreters today are Tisha Riley and Nicole Pansino. They will switch off their spotlights, so they'll take turns. If you need multi-pin access for those in the Zoom space right now, let us know. Our captioner today is Caitlin Morey. You can toggle the captions on and off from the bottom of your Zoom window. You can also find the stream text link for browser-based captions, including Spanish captions, in the participation guide. Our audio describer today is Madison Zalopani, and I will turn it over to Madison to introduce herself.
Thank you, Kevin. My name is Madison Zalopani, she, they pronouns. I will have my camera off during the entirety of this presentation, but there is an icon of a photo of me with long brown hair standing in a manicured field backlit by the sun. I will interrupt periodically to describe important visual content, but otherwise will stay muted.
This is Kevin speaking. Thank you, Madison. And apologies, I realized I was not spotlit until right now. So we're getting the hang of things as we go along. And yes, if it works for you, use the chat. Just keep in mind, we will want to read all of the messages there. So if the pace picks up, we may ask for a pause. And our access doula today is Seth, and I will turn it over to them for an introduction. Welcome, Seth.
Hello, everyone. This is Seth speaking. I'm waving my hand. I'm speaking to you from Lenapehoking. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a light-skinned Black person with long curly hair swept to one side. I have green eyes, freckles, and gold facial jewelry. I'm wearing a striped long sleeve shirt in front of a white wall, and I am average height and straight-sized. My role today is to monitor the flow of the event, manage some of the technical features of Zoom as needed. I'm available for one-on-one support to make sure that your access needs are met in the space. My role is to make sure that the container we're sharing together is working for you. You're welcome to, if you are using the chat feature, write me directly. End thought.
This is Kevin speaking. Thank you, Seth. And another access feature that I'm excited to share more with you about later on is graphic notation. We have so many artists among us, and one of them is going to map and visualize our conversation, and I will send you more information about that later on. And I think the last person who's in the Access magic is me. And I'm going to facilitate this event. I will have my eye on time. I will make changes to Zoom as necessary. And I'll move us between the sections of this event. If you feel unsafe at any time, please contact us immediately. If we are collectively unsafe, we may abruptly end this meeting and create a new session with a new Zoom link in the participation guide. So together, we are trying this. I am eager for your feedback on how this event is working for you. And I will prompt you for that closer to the end of the session. I invite you to disrespect etiquette to enhance your access, to bring your most exquisite self to this space, to stim and move and engage as you need, and to let us know if there is anything the facilitation team can do to support you. So let's take a pause. You might find a sensation in your body, mind, or follow your breath, or come deeper into the awareness of your surrounding right now. Okay. Let's go for it. So let me explain how this series came to be. Some of you probably know that Creatives Rebuild New York is an organization that is running 2 programs for artists in so-called New York State. One is an employment program, and one is a guaranteed income program. And there's also lots of research and communications work around Creatives Rebuild New York's efforts to expand economic security for artists. I am delighted to have joined CRNY. My work has focused on supporting disabled artists. I did work for many years at universities and also in the art worlds, especially in New York City. I identify as disabled, chronically ill, and neurodivergent. I should say, let me describe that my puppy is in the background of my video. And now she's gone. She's a gray dog. I should also say I had a big pain flare up right before this event started. And I was also ill yesterday. I just want to name that and thank you all for being here with me, maybe under less than ideal circumstances. Thank you for being here.
Jez says, we love you, Kevin. Thank you for showing up as you are.
This is Kevin. Thank you, Jez. Deeply felt. Okay, so in my work, I have been in disability community for over 11 years. And one of the things that I have been noticing is that people who are new to access and disability culture often feel unsure or a little intimidated about how to get started. I also have noticed that there's a lot of folks, artists and organizers, who know a lot about access and disability culture and don't often feel integrated into events and programs about access and disability culture. So I am interested in building a model of public political education about disability and ableism that will help us move away from understanding access as something only about legal and regulatory compliance. And I'm interested in creating spaces for people with many different kinds of expertise about access. You might think that you're new to this work. I'm interested in recognizing expertise that you already have and bringing you into space with disabled artists who are teaching us a lot about access and artistry. When I was thinking about how to bring all of this together, I thought back to something that I read in the New York Times from August of 2022. It was an interview feature with members of the disability arts ensemble Kinetic Light. One of the members, Jaron Herman, said this: "One of the beautiful parts of this research and development is dissolving siloed experiences in disability culture. We're saying that there's no need to embody a certain impairment or have a certain disability narrative in order to access access. Experiments that are happening in this company can then move forward in someone else's work. And we are also being informed and influenced by others." And that's the end of the quote. I was struck by the repetition of access, and became interested in how that doubling of access could explain the doubleness of form and content that is necessary for thinking about access. And I became interested in the title Access for this series as an imperative, an affirmation, kind of a chant. So I am delighted that we have Jeron Herman here with us to say more about that article and that quote, and to help us activate this series. So let me spotlight Jeron as I read a little bit more about him. Jeron is a dancer and writer who creates images of freedom. His process is supported by personal histories and social legacies of disability aesthetics that undermine notions of production in favor of welcoming. The nuanced pieces Jeron exhibits contend with an early childhood desire to create many worlds in which others inhabit. His works include, and this is a very small selection, an evening-length dance and media performance called Vitruvian, and Sensorium X, an opera that explores the intersections of disability and AI. He is a choreographic collaborator with Kinetic Light and serves on the board of trustees of Dance USA. And I want to go on and on because Jeron has done so much more work that I want to tell you about. But I also want you to meet him and hear from him. So welcome, Jeron. Maybe could you start with, a more introduction, if that feels right, and a visual description?
Yes. Hi, Kevin. And hi, everyone. I'm Jeron Herman. I'm a dark-skinned black man with facial hair. It's a full beard today, fully grown in. And I'm wearing a tan shirt, and my hair is blonde. And you might be able to see my earphones in my ears. They're white. I'm also in front of a blurred wall. I'm in my parents' den in the Bay Area of California, also Ohlone Land. And I'm very excited to be here with you all. And thank you, Kevin, for this really wonderful introduction.
This is Kevin. Thank you, Jeron. I'm wondering if you can say a little bit more about what you were describing in the New York Times interview. You were talking about experiments in access and artistry. Could you say a little bit more about those experiments?
Yeah. First, I'm really grateful to that context in terms of um, the moment was to support the framing and thinking of this show called Wired, which was developed by, as you said, Disability Arts Collective, Kinetic Light, wherein that interview was to articulate the specific and discrete access innovations that the piece was offering, such as haptic technology that corresponded with the score in congruous ways, and ASL interpretation, and varied audio description that included poetic and technical interpretations of what was happening on stage. But I would say that, as with all of my work or all of the works that I'm involved in, I cannot let it just be discrete or be attached to one singular event. And I found myself really thinking about the access ecology or disability arts ecology that I've been experiencing also for the last 10 years in New York City, wherein I feel that there is such a wealth and richness of expression that is coming from so many different embodiments or perspectives. So I was trying to really honor the panoply and richness, diversity of what I was feeling and seeing. And access for me was a chant, in the sense that I think that there is a compulsion from the outside, I'll call institutional power, to mandate how we might, as disabled people or as allies, engage with access, that can also really make inferior our sense of not, I said I don't agree with productivity, and I was just going to say productivity, but I think that it has similarly might have made us inferior to the output or the ways in which we do um, change community and culture. And I wanted to give weight and respect to the technological, and artisanal, spontaneous, um, soulful ways that people, and disrupting ways that people offer access. That was my biggest desire with that introduction, that doubling word phrase.
This is Kevin. Gorgeous. Thank you. In the follow-up materials, I'm gonna link to a whole bunch of your works, because I think that's like the demonstration of what you're talking about, and I want everyone to know just how how incredible the influence that you're having on contemporary art worlds. Really, it's profound. So we'll have folks explore what you're talking about as these experiments in access very soon. I wonder if you can tell us, Jaron, what are some of the most exciting things that you're noticing in the way access is serving artistry and also organizing?
Totally. So I find that more forms engaging with access in terms of disciplines has been really exciting. As you mentioned, I'm a part of an opera. I'm the choreographer and co-director of a new opera called Sensorium X, and that deals with the intersections of disability and AI. So it's there has been a concerted desire for increased racial interpretation in opera. I would think, or at least in my really nascent and growing understanding of opera, disability representation is still ongoing and coming. So that's really exciting to me. I want to go back a little bit to maybe an experiment that has me thinking about excitement. One particular project where I found the form and content changing to represent disability culture or disability aesthetics was a time when I participated in the Lincoln Center Dance Break, which is a series of videos that support or highlight dance forms in 1 minute. So the nuance is there if you think. But when they approached me, they had a desire to demonstrate or to highlight disability aesthetics. And so what did we have to do? We expanded it to 2 minutes as a way to shift how even to demonstrate disability aesthetics. In addition, there was a performance of my voice, not only as narration, but also audio description. And then I became a very seminal producer on that work. That's exciting because that was a real moment for institutional curiosity into disability aesthetics that materially changed how they did their work. 1 minute to 2 minutes feels like somewhat small, and yet no, it's not small. It's very big because they had to materially change how they did things. Another thing, an experiment that I was really excited by, that I think is an excitement, is I experienced STEM room curation by Alexis Fagan for the most recent iteration of I Want to Be With You Everywhere. Sorry, that's a lot of words. Which was a disabled-led solstice hang in honor of the solstice that happened at Performance Space New York not too long ago. And what I found exciting about that was the steering group or the organizers invited an artist to think through an access space. And so for it not to just have been compliant, as you said, or regulatory, but that there was an opportunity for the room in which people would be able to stem as they desire or have quietude was also embedded with artistry. And that was so exciting to me. I think another excitement thing that I'm finding or feeling is that folks from uh, folks within their own disability culture or impairment culture, if you will, blind, low vision folks, deaf, hard of hearing folks, folks with CP or cerebral palsy, excuse me, are experimenting with ways of wayfinding for themselves, which I think is a really beautiful reorientation away from institutional intervening. They're saying, I want to be in space with my friends. How would we do that in a way that is germane to our experience? And I love that as something that needs to should happen in with respect to, I would say, dismantling supremacy. We individually should come up with ways of joy and of expressivity between each other before and in tandem. Well, what do I want to say? We should generate expressivity between each other that is joyful, not only in response to our oppression, but that we can do it in tandem and possibly before intervening in institution. And that kind of work feels very good to me because that means that we are not creating out of duress, but we're creating out of curiosity, out of desire, and out of time and abundance, which is a new shift that if those things become uh, uh, more replete, I think our sense of time will also begin to get changed and different. And that's end thought. Thank you.
This is Kevin. I was nodding a whole lot during that, and so beautifully said. Thank you, Jaron. And so we're gonna move now a little bit. So yeah, thank you for sharing your brilliance, Jaron, and for everyone. Look for some more links and more examples of what Jaron is talking about very soon. But now I'm going to yeah, kind of finish out this introduction of the series and turn to you all here. So we're hearing here the way Access is an engine of creativity in artistic production. And I also want to note that Access is the form and the style of not leaving anyone behind in our organizing, in our movement work. So that's another double of Access, the way it is creative and also an organizing blueprint. So now, yeah, I want to ask you all who are here some questions that I will use to offer back to you as part of the follow-up materials, but also so I can collect some insights that we can use to make decisions about the rest of this series. Okay, this is Kevin in editing mode after the event. So at this point during the event, we used a polling platform to collect responses to 2 prompts. And those responses are on the screen, and I will read them out. The first prompt was, "What draws you here?" And there are 16 answers. I would like to learn about how I can create accessibility in the arts administrative space. I want to build empowerment and capacity in my work and community. Access is always an afterthought in my collectives, and people get sensitive. I wanted space to feel validated and possibly gain ideas. I am a dedicated reader of Crip News and have been anxious to be in space with Kevin. Cherry on top, huge fan of Jaron's work. Looking forward to the whole series and grateful for the Access priority. I learned about this through CRNY, and I'm grateful to be here. I'd like to observe and learn as much as I can. I learned about this event via the Crip News newsletter. I do work around access in art museums and am part of the disability community. I'd like to be able to support and effectively advocate for access and inclusion in cultural institutions and art education. Thank you, Kevin. Learning more about Access magic. Artist and organizer, just listening, hoping for ideas, inspiration, etc. that would enrich the work I do. I want to grow, and more, I want Access to be an always and before and always adapting thing, not an afterthought in my work. Learn and intention to embed Access in a mutual aid radio theater for thriving during ongoing crisis. Location throughout unceded Haudenosaunee land rural central NY. New information. I want to learn more about access outside of just language accessibility. I heard about the event through CRNY. I'm working to engage my community and region through public art, school programs, and organizing local artists. I'm always looking for more ways to be inclusive. Deep thinking about the creative potentials of access, especially as it might beautifully exceed the regulatory assumptions of what that access is presumed to be. Access, excess. Access as a woman of color would be a welcomed change. The next prompt says, what do you want to share, or what do you want to know about access, artistry, and organizing? There are 8 answers. Suggestions for paid access consultants for ongoing work. This is a basic, but I'm interested in learning more about gathering/raising funds to pay access consultants. How best to accommodate, welcome, and support artists with a variety of disabilities during our programs. I want to systematize the protocol within the institution. What kind of organizing work is everyone doing? How can I join? Strategies to ensure that there is organizational funding earmarked for access always. Help with organizing. I find myself struggling with feeling like I need to prove my disability as a neurodivergent artist in creative spaces. I am learning to let this go. Would love feedback on what I currently offer when teaching and organizing. What is working? Who am I forgetting? And that is the end of this session. Thanks for being here.